future of our young people and adults who need to be educated and trained to get good jobs than just for my own political future. Texas needs that right now. And I'm finding that professional educators, current active educators, parents, people enrolled in school, including adults, have come on board this campaign because they know that Texas can be better. With that, I'll take any questions.
What would you do differently regarding education and Governor Perry has been doing?
Well, first I'll be active in leadership and bringing kids back to school. There's many strategies to do it, not just one solution. We need to start early with early childhood educations at work, prepare young people for the classroom. They've improved to be a high return on investment. Bringing kids math and reading skills in elementary school up to par. We can do that. We can use some of those summers with voluntary programs. Reaching out to those people who've left school. We've done it. It takes a community to do it. It just can't be the educators. We ought to treat it as an emergency if some young person doesn't get back to school. I mean, somebody could have an athletic injury, and that's a serious issue. My son had one, and ambulance showed up. There's MRIs done. There's surgery. But I tell you what, for most of the routine injuries people have, people can, they won't affect one's entire life, but it sure will affect your entire life if a kid drops out from school, or if a person cannot go to community college or junior college because their books are priced at $300 a textbook. Like I have seen books brought to me by students at community colleges, basic math books, $300. That's pricing kids out of school. And finally, tuition has soared by over 80% in the last 6 years under Governor Perry. I can't tell you how many times the Texans have come up to me where their kids have worked hard in school and achieved and excelled, but they're priced out of the schools that they would be qualified to get into, where they could we are having more Texans that are leaving this state to go into higher ed than people coming into this state. And we're exporting a lot of the talent into this state. That's bad for Texas' future, and it hurts us all because people who are less trained make more money, spend less. If they're better trained, they can make more money, they can spend more money, invest more money, and we're all better off. Any other questions?
You addressed the use of federal dollars in education. Are you specifically referring to how the legislature used the stimulus money? And what's your concern about?
Well, I think that we should be aggressive in seeking competitive grants.
Oh, so you're specifically referring to the top?
Well, and any other competitive grants that come along. There right now, a number of competitive grants. I don't know the status of each grant proposal, but I can tell you what. I know from my experience with mayor that if you're at the table, you're pushing for those grants, you're in front of the federal officials, making your case. I see no harm of telling people what Texas wants. I mean, the worst thing could happen is they turn down the grant. We need more of the money that Texans have earned that's going to Washington come back to Texas. And believe me, every single federal grant has strings attached, just like every single grant from the state. Every single grant that I know of that comes through the state has strings attached from the state onto local government, school districts, county government. All state appropriations have strings attached to it. I think there's too many strings at all levels. But that doesn't mean that you'll never apply for a grant.
So would you, if you had been governor, would you have applied for the race to the top?
Yeah, and I would have done it based on the priorities of the people of our state and what they said were the priorities. Because if you don't, you either do not have enhancements to the educational system, or you wind up forcing local school districts to raise property taxes in order to fund those programs. Now, I'm not saying that we should accept federal national standards. I have a issue, I have some concerns because I don't want those standards to be, well, I want Texas to be a whole lot more, to have standards that are, to reach higher, and over time to succeed those. But that was, as you know, only 20 points out of 500 points in the evaluation scale. So there's plenty of states that did creative things.
Education seems to be the topic that you're most comfortable with on the campaign trail. Do you think it's a topic that can move an election?
Well, preparing Texans for our future is something that Texans are concerned about. And I believe in the federal system. And in the federal system, the principal job of state government, as you can tell from the budget, is supporting public and higher education.
Do you see a kind of Mark White redux where, you know, it's the teachers that carry you into office?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't gone back and done the analysis of that election, and I'm not, trying to be somebody else. But I will tell you right now that it's more important than ever in our state that we prepare Texans to compete for jobs that require education and skills. Because today, more than ever, Texans of all ages, adults and young people, have to compete against people in other states and other countries for the good jobs and jobs that have a future. It is not a good game plan for Texas to be a state with low educational attainment and low wages, because those jobs are confined either to those things that have to be delivered at a particular place, and if they're not, they can go overseas.
Do you think?
I don't want our people to have to compete for who can work the longest for how cheap wages.
Do you think
so
it's
today more than ever, it's important that at all levels of government, that we prepare Texans to compete.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but do you think this is a topic that resonates with voters? I mean, you've been around the state.
Yes. I mean, Texans want a governor who's more interested in the future of our state than in his own political future. That's a contrast between me and Governor Perry. He's more in the business of getting reelected, and I'm more in the business of solutions. That's what people want. They want straight talk. They don't want people to manipulate statistics in order to mislead the voters, like I believe that he's doing with the dropout rate. They want somebody to shoot straight with the facts of state government.
You've criticized Governor Perry repeatedly about some of the decisions made by the State Board of Education recently, the social studies curriculum standards. Given that it's an elected board, what sort of role should the governor be playing? What can the governor do to influence?
It starts with the appointment of a chair that is somebody with the skills and ability to build consensus. And then there is leadership that is exercised by the governor. I know as mayor, there's many issues. Let's just take expectation graduation, where there was, it wasn't a city-funded program, and I can't order a school district to do anything. But you do engage the community on common ground to draw some kind of lines and expectations. I'm sure every member of the State Board of Education is sincere in his or her beliefs, but there has to be a line between what is done by the politicians versus those who make the decisions in the front line of education. That's true in all public service of all natures. There's a line between what's done by the civilian command in the Pentagon and what must be done in the field. And I think that in the particular case of taking Thomas Jefferson out of the world history curriculum standard, that was interjecting basically a political agenda into what should be an education decision. Anything else? If not, thank you all very much.